In a world where global tensions are seemingly escalating by the day, the potential for a nuclear conflict is becoming an increasing reality. We're living in an era where the balance of power is constantly shifting. It's an intricate web of alliances, rivalries, and strategic interests, all playing out on the world stage. Every day we hear about conflicts flaring up in different parts of the globe, be it due to territorial disputes, economic pressures, or ideological differences. These clashes are not confined to the battlefield. They echo through the corridors of power, influencing decisions that can change the course of history. In these times, the specter of nuclear warfare looms larger than ever. The reality is that the nuclear arsenals of several nations hold enough firepower to wreak unimaginable destruction. It's a sobering thought, but one that we cannot afford to ignore. Now, this doesn't mean we should live in constant fear. On the contrary, it's a call to action. A reminder that we need to be aware, informed, and prepared. The threat of nuclear conflict is not just about the immediate devastation caused by a blast. It also involves dealing with the aftermath, the nuclear fallout, the long-term effects on the environment, and the challenges of survival in a post-blast scenario. We can't control the decisions that lead to global conflicts, but we can control how we respond to them. We can equip ourselves with knowledge, develop survival strategies, and take steps to mitigate the risks. It's not about living in dread of a nuclear catastrophe. It's about understanding the risks, acknowledging the potential outcomes, and taking proactive measures to ensure our survival and well-being. In the face of escalating global tensions, we must remember that preparedness is not just about physical supplies. It's also about mental readiness, the ability to stay calm, make rational decisions, and adapt to changing situations. Awareness is the first step in preparation. Let's delve deeper into what nuclear survival entails. Your geographical location plays a crucial role in determining your risk in the event of a nuclear blast. Now, you might be wondering, how does where I live affect my chances of survival? Let's dive into that. Firstly, living near military bases or major cities can increase your risk of being near a nuclear strike. These areas are often considered high-value targets due to their strategic importance. If you find yourself in or near these regions, it's crucial to be aware of the heightened risk and plan accordingly. Now, this doesn't mean you should pack your bags and move to the middle of nowhere just yet. Understanding the potential targets in your area can help you better prepare and plan your response. For instance, if you live near a major city, it may be wise to plan escape routes that lead away from the city center, where a strike is more likely to occur. Also, consider the infrastructure of your area. Urban areas with high-rise buildings could face more significant damage from a blast, and escaping from these regions could be more challenging due to debris and overcrowding. Conversely, rural areas may offer more accessible escape routes, but might lack immediate access to medical facilities and resources. It's also worth considering the natural features of your location. Are there mountains that could potentially shield you from a blast? Or perhaps bodies of water that could limit the spread of fallout? These geographical features can influence your survival strategy. It's important to note that no place is entirely safe from a nuclear event. However, understanding the risks associated with your specific location can help you make informed decisions about your survival strategy. This could mean anything from planning efficient evacuation routes to ensuring your home is as safe and secure as possible. So, take some time to evaluate your surroundings. Consider the risks and advantages your location presents. Knowledge is power, and in this case, it could be the difference between life and death. Knowing your risk based on location helps you to better prepare and plan your response. Remember, preparation is not about fear, it's about empowerment. By understanding your risk, you're taking control of your own survival. Understanding nuclear fallout, its effects, and how it spreads is a key part of preparation. But what exactly is nuclear fallout? It's the residual radioactive material that's propelled into the upper atmosphere following a nuclear blast. This material then gradually falls back to Earth, hence the term fallout. The typical range of fallout can vary greatly depending on the size of the nuclear weapon and weather conditions at the time of detonation. Wind patterns can carry fallout hundreds of miles, potentially affecting areas far removed from the blast site. The size of the bomb also plays a significant role. A larger bomb can send radioactive particles higher into the atmosphere, leading to a wider distribution of fallout. By understanding these factors, you can better anticipate the areas most likely to be affected in the event of a nuclear blast. With the knowledge of nuclear fallout, you can better prepare and protect yourself. In the immediate aftermath of a nuclear blast, your actions can greatly affect your survival. Imagine the unthinkable has happened. A nuclear bomb has detonated and you've survived the initial blast. What you do next is crucial. The next few minutes can mean the difference between life and death. Firstly, you must seek immediate shelter. This may seem obvious, but it's not about just finding a place to hide. You need to find a place that offers protection from the nuclear fallout, which is a mix of radioactive particles that fall out of the sky after a nuclear explosion. This fallout can harm you, and it's everywhere after a blast. So, what kind of shelter are we talking about? Ideally, you want to find a space underground, like a basement or a subway tunnel. If that's not possible, find a structure with thick walls and few windows. This could be a brick or concrete building, like a commercial building or a school. Remember, the more barriers between you and the outside world, the better. But finding a good shelter is just the start. Once you're inside, you need to seal your shelter as best you can. This means closing and locking all windows and doors and covering any cracks or gaps with plastic sheeting and duct tape if you have it. This will help prevent radioactive particles from entering your shelter. Air filtration is also key. If possible, use a device that can filter out radioactive particles from the air. This could be a commercial air purifier or even a DIY solution like a wet cloth over your mouth and nose. But remember, a filtration device is not a substitute for a good shelter. It's an extra layer of protection. In the minutes following a nuclear explosion, it's easy to panic. But remember, your actions can greatly affect your survival. Seek immediate shelter, seal your space, and use air filtration if possible. By doing these things, you are taking the right steps to protect yourself from nuclear fallout. Immediate actions can make a significant difference in your survival chances. Nuclear blasts have long-term impacts on areas and their inhabitants. The invisible enemy radiation lingers and silently inflicts damage long after the initial blast. It's a grim reality but necessary to confront. Radiation can cause a spectrum of health issues, from minor sickness to fatal conditions, and even genetic mutations that can affect future generations. Now let's consider the structural impact. Buildings and infrastructure near the blast site will be obliterated, leaving a barren and desolate landscape. Even miles away from ground zero, you can expect significant damage. Moreover, the land could remain uninhabitable for decades, even centuries, depending on the bomb's size and the cleanup efforts. It's not a pretty picture, but it's a reality we must face. By understanding these long-term effects, we can better prepare for a post-blast scenario and make plans that consider not just our immediate survival, but also our long-term well-being. Understanding long-term effects helps in planning for a post-blast scenario. Knowing when and how to evacuate, as well as the best sheltering strategies, is essential. In the wake of a nuclear blast, the landscape around you will be drastically altered. It's crucial to understand how to navigate this new terrain safely. To do this, we'll use what's known as a fallout map. This map offers a projection of the radioactive particles dispersed by the blast, also known as fallout. This fallout is carried by the wind and can cover a vast area, creating a hazardous zone you'll need to avoid. Now imagine you're in the middle of this zone. Your first instinct might be to flee, but that could expose you to a higher dose of radiation. The safest course of action is to shelter in place until it's safe to move. But how will you know when that is? Monitor any available news sources and pay close attention to wind patterns and weather forecasts. The radiation levels will decrease significantly after the first 48 hours, making it safer to venture out. But remember, this is a general rule and can change depending on the size of the blast and weather conditions. Now let's talk about evacuation. When it's time to move, you'll want to plan your route carefully. Avoid fallout hotspots and aim for areas that have been least affected. You'll want to move swiftly and steadily, minimizing your time exposed to the outside environment. As for sheltering, your best bet is a structure with thick, dense walls and a hefty roof. Think basements, underground facilities, or even a central room in a large building. The more barriers between you and the radioactive particles outside, the better. These shelters should ideally be stocked with supplies. You'll need food, water, medical supplies, and even entertainment to keep morale up. Remember, you could be in there for up to 2 weeks. And finally, let's touch on the concept of safe zones. These are areas predicted to be least affected by the fallout. They're usually located upwind of the blast site and are your best bet for long-term survival. Effective evacuation and sheltering strategies can significantly increase your survival chances. A well-stocked survival kit can be a lifeline in a nuclear crisis. It should be comprehensive, yet specific to the threat of nuclear fallout. Potassium iodide is a key inclusion, as it protects the thyroid from absorbing harmful radiation. Non-perishable food and water are essentials, with enough supplies to last you and your family for at least 2 weeks. Medical supplies, including bandages, antiseptics, pain relievers, and prescription medications, should also have dedicated space in your survival pack. Protective clothing, such as a sturdy pair of boots, gloves, and a hooded rain poncho, are critical in shielding you from radioactive particles. A battery-powered or hand-crank radio is also crucial for staying informed about updates from authorities. Remember to include basic tools, like a can opener for your food supplies and a flashlight with extra batteries. Investing time and effort in preparing a comprehensive survival kit can make a substantial difference in a nuclear emergency. A well-prepared kit is a cornerstone of nuclear survival. Decontamination is a crucial step if exposed to radioactive material. If you find yourself in this unfortunate situation, don't panic. Instead, focus on the task at hand. Getting clean. Start with your clothes. Carefully remove them to avoid shaking off any radioactive particles. Store them in a sealed bag or container. They may be contaminated and you don't want to spread that around. Next is showering. Use warm water, not hot, and a mild soap. Scrub your body thoroughly, but be careful not to scratch or irritate your skin, as this could allow radioactive material to enter your body. Pay special attention to areas where dirt or sweat collects, like behind your ears and under your nails. Remember, the goal is to wash away the contamination, not rub it in. So, rinse thoroughly and repeat if necessary. Lastly, blow your nose and clean your eyes and ears with a soft, clean cloth. Proper decontamination can significantly reduce the impact of radiation exposure. Surviving a nuclear blast involves understanding the risks, being prepared, and taking decisive action. Remember, location, understanding fallout, immediate steps, long-term effects, evacuation strategies, survival kits, and decontamination procedures are key. Please like, subscribe, and share this video to help others stay informed. Your preparedness can make all the difference. Stay safe and keep preparing.